Just hit the button here.
Yep.
Just tell me when. Good afternoon, everyone. Gary Gabagool here on the Red Podcast 30 on this special edition of Halloween. Unfortunately, my boy Sal couldn't make it tonight. He had prior plans. So I was going to go solo, but instead, I have a special guest coming in this evening. And who we have on the really enlightened deplorable is President Donald J. Trump. Sir?
How you doing, Mr.
You're doing a great job. Look at this guy. How good is this guy?
It's tremendous to be here. What an amazing night.
Stock market going through the roof. Thank you.
I make time for all of you, U.S. citizens.
You're doing a great job there, President.
No, them daffy kids.
And we're gonna sit here, and I don't know if you're familiar with the show, but we're gonna sit here and we're gonna
watch it all the time, every week.
Thank you, President Trump.
Best show I got.
We love the president.
Next to Fox and Friends, this is better.
We love the president. And what we do here this evening is we're gonna go through the liberal lunacy. And what's even better is my wife made a nice dinner for the president. So he's ready to eat. She's a great cook, President Trump.
Steak and potatoes.
Fantastic.
My favorite meal.
So where do we start? It's such a crazy week. Last week was so insane.
Everybody.
Oh, it's Sal.
Oh!
Sal made it. Oh,
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Just a little fun on today, even though it's kind of sad.
Yeah, a sad day. And we're going to start the broadcast of the podcast by wishing our deepest condolences and prayers out to the people of New York. Yep. I got my Yankee jersey on for that.
I was in the traffic for you guys. Yeah. I feel your pain.
Hopefully everybody's okay. And we'll get into that a little bit later. We're not glazing over.
Yeah, happy Halloween, sir.
Happy Halloween to you and the family, especially the kids out there. I know last week I went off the rails a little bit and cursed a little too much. I'm gonna try to pull it back a little.
It's okay.
It was going crazy, but on this Halloween night, a lot of stuff going on, and I want to start off with something that occurred yesterday, and Sal and I are going to talk about what transpired and our take or interpretation of what happened with Paul Manafort.
Yeah,
it's funny because today on Facebook we had it was an 80 comment discussion. And I'm going to mention his name because he was a liberal douchebag. His name was Thomas Hughes. And all he kept saying was Russia, Trump. He's finally got his guys indicted. And what he failed to realize was, it's funny. I call it the boomerang effect.
You tried to explain it to him.
I tried.
Several times.
Exactly. I was polite. I was respectful. Didn't call him any names. All I did say after a few give and takes is that he's acting, not my name, he's acting like a useful idiot. That's what Saul Alinsky and Karl Marx call him. I said, the people that you worship who read their books like Obama and Hillary, they call you useful idiots. Read a book, get educated. And then, of course, what did he do like every liberal did? He went to a tirade, calling me every name under the book. I don't need to repeat them, but you can imagine what they were. Every foul language name, saying I'm this, I'm stupid. And then his big claim to fame was that I barely, since I'm from Belleville and I look like a Guido, that I must barely have my GED. And that's what he said for about 10 posts. That's the best he had. But what he failed to realize is Paul Manafort, all this illegal activity he did was in 2012. And like I mentioned earlier, I call it the boomerang effect. And if you guys don't know what that means, it's when you throw shit at somebody, it's like a boomerang. You throw it, and without realizing it, a boomerang comes back and it hits you. And that's what this did, because what he didn't realize, or what a lot of liberals don't realize, is when this happened, he was working for a company called the Podesta Group. And if you don't know who John Podesta is and his brother Tony Podesta, they were Hillary Clinton's right-hand men in D.C. They owned a lobby firm that actually lobbied in the Ukraine with Rosatom and Uranium One back in 2012. So all this criminal activity was done 5 years ago, way before President Trump even decided they wanted to be president. And if Donald Trump is guilty of anything, the only thing he's guilty of is having a bad appointee, and he fired him for these exact reasons. So it blew out their whole theory. And now what's going to happen is you're going to have to turn around and put a spotlight on the Podesta Group. And interestingly enough, what happened yesterday was the Podesta group is no longer the Podesta group because Tony Podesta, he stepped down.
Yeah.
And he turned it over to his vice president. I think her name is Bridget Crick. So here's what's going on. These gentlemen were doing illegal activities and shipping a lot of money overseas. And that's where Sal and I mentioned the Panama Papers, and we can cover them a little better because this is all intertwined.
Yeah.
And also don't forget, and Sal can talk about this because he knows he's very adept at this, is Tony and John Podesta are affiliated very closely with Pizzagate.
Yeah, and all them Hollywood people.
Very closely. So go ahead, give me your thoughts.
The funny thing about this whole situation to me is that, remember the fake Russia dossier that came out?
Yep.
Which is real, which we know Hillary funded and all that.
Yep.
That came out, what, 4 days ago, 5
Yeah,
days ago?
I'm going to talk about next too, so good.
And,
Good segue.
All of the liberals and stuff that they were going on about in the beginning about Manafort going down, getting 3 of Trump's guys, as they were saying, and it's like, even though this happened way before Trump was even running and had a campaign and a party, they don't realize that this dossier that came out will totally, anything that comes out bad about Trump and his collusion, that's collusion, air quotes if you're not watching.
Yeah, air quotes.
That dossier will ruin any leeway they had at actually charging Manafort, at actually getting anywhere, because they fucking, I'm sorry for cursing right there, but they colluded right then and there.
Yeah.
Like, it happened before everything. That happened in 2009.
Correct.
So if Manafort stuff happened in 2012, they're already 3 years ahead of him.
Right.
So it's gonna wipe out his indictment or whatever.
Right. And just to add to what Sal is saying is that the DNC paid Fusion GPS $12.4 million. In addition, there's financial records of that. There is proof. Also, there is proof that Barack Obama, his administration, paid $972,000 to GPS Fusion. And if you think that I am lying, do me a favor, people. The money was being laundered through a law firm called Perkins Coie on Rockefeller Plaza in New York. All the money was going there. That's a crime in itself without even a dossier. That's money laundering, people. That's what organized criminals do when they want to wash their money so they can't get caught. That's all the stuff that they've been doing. In addition, a lot of the money from the uranium deal was shipped up to Canada through TD Bank. So they laundered money there as well. Yeah. And the person who exposed, I don't know if you guys we discussed this before, the FBI informant had a lawyer named Victoria Townsend. This last week, late in the week, she had the gag order lifted, which she showed. She mentioned on several occasions that her and her client were threatened by the Barack Obama administration not to come out with this information, or else they were going to destroy his reputation. They said they would actually cause him harm. Now, think about this, people. Let's just take this back to a real world situation, and then Sal could put his take on it. If you are a criminal organization throughout this world, whatever that may be, whether you're a mafia, Colombian drug cartel, anything, the Irish Public Army, whatever. When you have a witness or someone that can harm you, what do? They intimidate, they threaten, and sometimes they unfortunately, their threats don't become threats anymore. They become reality, and they kill someone. It just happens to be, if you go back and look, that every single person, pretty much, that was going to either leak information or testify against Hillary Clinton has been killed or committed suicide, and I'm doing air quotes again like Sal just did, or ended up dead. Bottom line. So if this guy, they were on the same path, and I don't know his name because he's anonymous, but the lawyer I do know, and she came on several shows. I saw her. She actually had the gag order in hand and showed everybody she had it, and that it was lifted. If this guy ends up making it, whoever he is, I pray he does, because she told several media organizations, not only was he an eyewitness, he has audio tapes, videotapes, financial records, banking transactions, overseas statements. Everything. This could blow the roof. So when I see people like this Thomas Hughes, this jack-off that I argue with today, say Hillary, all he kept saying was Hillary wasn't indicted. I was like, how the hell can you indict Hillary Clinton or any of the DNC members when the guy doing the investigating is part of the criminal enterprise?
I talked about that last week.
So this is all fact. All fact.
All fact. No, I was just gonna say to that light, like, do you think that they would come at this half-assed? And I talked about this this whole show months ago. I said, if they take down these people, they're not going to come at you with just a little bit. They're going to have the entire package, everything to take you down. So there's no, like, what did I say? Like, they're like a creature. If you're watching Stranger Things, it's a demigorgon. It's going to grab you and drag you down.
Right.
Like,
it's true. Well, you know what's funny?
Even if you give it one last grasp of breath, so you have to go at them with full force to take it out.
Sal has said this ad nauseum, intellectually so, that this is what they had to do. I'm impatient. I would have went after them,
a lot of people, but you can't be.
But Sal makes a great point. Patience is a virtue here because you want to make sure you have all your ducks lined up, your I's dotted, your T's crossed. You don't want to have to make one mistake. I know you can never say any investigation is a slam dunk, but if you have all this, as long as you can protect these people. But here's the thing. I listened to an interview with Trey Gowdy. I don't know if you know who he is. Phenomenal person in our government. One of the few that has integrity, that has ethics, and he was an excellent prosecutor. And he said something that made the light bulb in my head go off. He said the proof is so tantamount that you don't even need a witness. And this gentleman, whoever he is a very smart man. He used to work for the FBI. He's been deep undercover for many, many years. He's already made millions. He's made lots of copies. So if anything happens to him, he's got a contingency plan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, through how many, God knows. So if he's killed, God forbid, the plan gets set in motion that all the information comes forward, and he has copies on everything. So not having a witness is incredibly important here. Incredibly important because God knows we know that Hillary doesn't think twice about killing someone, especially someone going to testify against her. So I think what this gentleman did through his experience and his intelligence and just a very knowledgeable state of how to do investigations and undercover work, he's covered his tracks. So he knows if he ends up dead, the investigation goes on. We hope he makes it. I mean, he's been obviously an honorable and patriot to our country. So I want him to survive, whoever he may be. But he already knows that he is safe, meaning his hard work, it will not go for nothing because he has proof. So the witness is not the utmost importance here, which is very rare.
It's good. Don't you think that she's going to pull, like, one of these things like Weinstein just did? Like, he just bailed to some sex rehab in Europe. No one knows exactly where. I mean, maybe people do. I don't know exactly where. People probably do. You think he's coming back? No way. Like, don't you think she's going to do one of these things too? If she really thinks it's going to happen, she's like, peace.
I thought about this. You know what I thought about? I thought about, if you notice, she's been saying a lot on her interview she doesn't remember.
Yeah.
I think she's setting the table for saying she's got dementia or she's
They're
lost her mind.
push that with Trump.
Right. Well, it's all bullshit. I mean, it's comical, but
they go from one thing to the next.
It's
all bullshit.
Yeah, that's what they do. But I have a feeling that she will try anything. That woman is. We said it once. I'll say it again. That woman is the most evil woman. Listen, not in America, in the world. The only other person equivalent to her is George Soros. They make a great couple. They should be married because they are the two most evil people on this planet. And it just coincides that they're such great friends. And, Sal and I were talking, what do you think Sal titled what do you call it? The title of the podcast today. Where were the DNC and the members on Mischief night last night? And we do know that Hillary Clinton did meet with Tony Podesta and John Podesta, trying to probably get their story straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's like, it's crazy because they know, it's one of those things, they know it's coming. They just don't know from what angle or what side. It could be coming from the back. It could be coming from underneath, up top, right in front of them.
I think
it's good. It's great.
I would feel better. I got to be honest with you. I can't lie. I would feel much better if you had an independent guy like Trey Gowdy or a Rudy type. There's a guy out of an ex-prosecutor named Jim Johnson. Amazing dude. He's ex-military, ex-Marine. He also is an a prosecutor as well. No nonsense guy. I would feel much better with somebody like that. I think what we need to do.
Can't they be doing that without us knowing?
Yeah, they can be, and yeah, absolutely they can be. Because what I think we need to do is go outside the government. We need to get out of this laundry list of shitheads and go outside the government. Not that Jim Johnson, Trey Gowdy are outside the government, but they're outside that umbrella of bullshit that goes on. Or bring a guy in from not even D.C. Bring him from an outside party somewhere where he's got a great reputation. Feel a hell of a lot better. But like Sal mentioned, he might be right. They might be doing that, and they might be doing it in a way that they're not telling anyone. And Donald Trump is holding his cards close until the time is right. So you could be right.
Yeah, I have a number of crazy topics to go to. So what did you want to talk about next?
I just want to kind of tie it into this, and we're mentioning corruption, and we're mentioning that seems to be the story every week with fucking Democratic National Committee members and the past administration. But there's one thing that worries me, and then that doesn't worry me, but it's always causes some bit of consternation in my brain, is that there's a judge who's in charge of the Manafort investigation. Her name is Amy Berman Jackson. If you don't know who she is, she's an appellate judge appointed by Barack Obama. She was the piece of shit that basically dismissed the lawsuit against Hillary Clinton from the Benghazi family members. And she used all this lingo and rigmarole to get Hillary Clinton out of this and dismiss the charges that she was not responsible, and basically gave these people no justice whatsoever. So it worries me because she's also been proven to give money to the Clinton campaign, also the Clinton Foundation. Now, how is this always happening? How are all these judges, all these investigators, when you dig into their, follow the money and dig into their financial past, they've all supported Democratic causes? That should be illegal. You shouldn't be able to make judgments on people and accept money from them or give money to them. It's ridiculous. If this was done in the private sector, everybody would be going to jail. But none of these assholes go to jail.
I read briefly today, this guy Mustafa Al-Aman from Benghazi. He
Yeah.
was like the suspect.
Yeah, Trump snagged him.
They got him. Now that he's on the way back.
Yeah.
They snagged him, this morning?
Mhm.
They're sending him back here. So see what he has to say.
Absolutely. And that's a great segue, because I was going to mention that. And here's another thing. We talk about this. The media. This is a huge coup for our military. Capturing the organizer and the person who created the destruction and killing of our ambassador and men in Benghazi. And nothing is said. Let me tell you something, people. If you're a foreign dignitary in New York City and you're given a parking ticket, it is a major no-no. It's like it becomes front page news and it's all over, and the person who gave him the ticket gets in all sorts of trouble. Nothing. A dignitary or ambassador does not get touched on foreign soil. And what happened to our dignitary, our ambassador? Not only was he wasn't given a ticket, he was murdered, dragged through the streets, and then 3 other military heroes were killed with him. And then the rest of the story. I don't need to rehash it, but this guy was captured, like Sal mentioned. Don't hear anything on the news. How is that possible? How?
It's crazy. They captured this highly decorated terrorist. They say nothing about it.
Nothing. You don't hear nothing.
Whatever. They go about it. Like, it's another day. Let's talk about nonsense.
What else you got? Go ahead. You go.
Wow, I have so much stuff, man. I have well, we can talk about what happened today, or let's go to last week, because we can talk about what happened today. That's fresh in everyone's mind. People, obviously, this is fresh in people's mind too. The JFK release.
Yep.
That's where I was going to go.
Okay, go.
And what they did was release probably about 90% of the documents. I'm not sure if all 100% got released about it. But what it did show, I didn't know it. I read some of the Daily Caller, Daily Wire synopsises of it. Because if you look at the files, there were 4 terabytes, 4 gigabytes. It was unfathomable amount of documentation. So to go through it all would have been crazy anyway. So I read what these guys had to say about it, and I trust them because I go to them for sources. And what it did was just prove that the CIA is behind all kinds of felonious activity.
Oh yeah,
trying to set up and take down other governments as well as undermining our own government. And they tried doing this by killing Castro. Obviously, there was always these rumors about them trying to kill Castro. But in the documents released, they had the false flag that they were going to bomb Miami with bombers. They were going to bomb just towns in Miami and say that Cuba did it. And then they were going to go and kill Castro. Proven in these documents. Another false flag proven, like the Gulf of Tonkin and other stuff. Like
the CIA, when run roughshod or having a director that turns his back, has proven time and again to be another criminal organization, part of the deep state. It's been going on forever. And the only difference now from the JFK times is really one simple thing. We have the technology and people like Anonymous, Wikileaks, and Assange, where you thought, if you were a mob guy and you thought things were bad when Rudy Giuliani tapped the Ravenite Club in Brooklyn, with John Gotti, this is nothing compared to what these guys can do today. You can't even communicate unless you're doing sign language. You can't even communicate anymore because, first off, you can't talk on the phone. That's a no-no. People intercept that like crazy. Obviously, you can't talk in a busy place. We all know that. But now you can't even communicate if you're doing business, like say, for example, if someone is looking to do criminal business with someone from a foreign country, they could probably meet. That probably makes sense. But after they meet, they can't be seen together, obviously. So the person or one of the two groups goes back to where they live. So say, for example, the CIA was meeting with people in Cuba to overthrow the government. If it was today's world, after they met with them, they both go to their respective countries. And then when they have conversations, they either text or email. That's even worse because now these guys get all the information and they hack and get all the information.
You see it real time,
which is a good thing. But what it does is it's kind of scary how screwed up our CIA is. And honestly, I think in today's, after you read that, maybe the stuff that happened in Vegas isn't too.
Yeah, that's the other point. And then, well, if you want to say, you just said Vegas, so I'll go right into it. Today, there was newer stuff that came out about Vegas about these 3 helicopters. And apparently it was in, I guess, some of the videos and some of the other things. But there's 3 helicopters, all from private companies, I believe. And, these helicopters all have transponders, so they know where they are from the airport.
Yep.
Conveniently, these 3 helicopters all had their transponders go off right when the time of the attack went off.
So they're allowed to do that?
No. You're not allowed to do that.
I didn't think they were. I thought that was illegal.
Conveniently, they came on 10 or so, 15 minutes or so after the attack.
So they can't account for that time.
And people said in the crowd that helicopters were shooting at them. So, there's all kinds of crazy accounts. People thought those were the craziest accounts. Like, oh, helicopters shot. And what are these people? They were just traumatized. They have no idea what they're saying.
Right.
And then it comes out today about this. And then now people are trying to dig deep into these private helicopter companies, to the FAA. What went on at Vegas Airport? They all came from Vegas Airport right there. So, they're like, how come this wasn't notified? How come we didn't know about this? Well, that just came out today. So, that's all breaking and stuff. And who knows what's going to happen from that. But again, you're not going to see that on,
this is complete lunacy. Yeah. And I think it goes back. And, people say to me, oh, I don't really care about what happened, in 1960, whatever, for JFK. But it is important because it just goes to show you, back then, these guys could, there was the Wild West with information. No one knew anything. Now,
there's no email. There's nothing like that.
Now with everybody with a cell phone, everybody with surveillance, everybody with the text and email. This is their worst nightmare, and they know it, and they can't control it. It's almost impossible because you see what's happening, and what are they going to do? Kill everybody? I know that's
all 20,000 people.
Exactly. What are you doing? But things have to stop. They have to stop. Business cannot be done as usual in our government. And listen, I know that there's probably been a lot of bad stuff that happened since the 50s and on. And I think, unfortunately, it's gotten worse with, what happened. I think Vietnam was a lot of that shit. It's been happening throughout the last 20, 30 years. And this year, 50, a lot. Yeah. 50. I think from 60s on. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. 50. Maybe more. But sorry.
No,
that's good.
Train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't at all. So I completely agree with what Sal's saying. this goes to prove that we have a lot of nasty shit going on in our government. The deep state.
Yeah.
The deep state. It's craziness.
And all right, did you see news of the now? Did you see the North Korean nuclear base collapse?
Yes. Well, I'm not laughing, but it's kind of
It
funny.
killed like 200 other guys.
Right.
They have a radioactive leak.
Correct. Because here's what's funny about this. That little fidget, you know, that little cartoon character that runs North Korea, he's so friggin' ignorant and stupid. He didn't realize by doing all of, like, what does he think was going to happen? He was firing off rockets the way you would do bottle rockets on 4th of July, M80s.
He's trying to do it like exponentially.
Right.
Like,
and he doesn't realize
the
ground cannot support these. When you fire a bomb of that capacity, just like when you see a rocket, like in Cape Canaveral, the whole friggin' world, the whole ground shakes. It's like a mini earthquake. And this guy kept doing it. And this is not funny, but what's interesting about what Sal's telling me today is they said he had fired when he was busting Japan's balls and firing like 3 or 4 rockets a day. He had a collapse back then, and they said any day now you're going to have a nuclear disaster. And yesterday or this morning he did. And this guy is so dumb that he didn't think it was going to happen.
Well, now that's all that's going to do. That's going to escalate into China
of
and
course.
Russia now have to get involved because that's a huge disaster. Like
that shit leaks.
Yeah,
it gets in the water. Gets into.
It's going to kill all the fish over
there.
Yeah,
this guy is as whacked out. Like this guy. Know what I think this guy's doing? It's actually frightening that this guy is a world leader because
it's horrible.
It's horrible because he is such a mental midget. He thinks he's playing a game on his computer, you know, or he thinks he's playing Call of Duty or something. Like this guy is so whacked. He doesn't even realize the ramifications of doing it. Listen, I'm no scientist. I don't know how things work with the Earth and you know, the way all these plates run and all this. I don't know that stuff. I'm not a genius when it comes to, you know, that type of stuff. However, I do know that when you have seismological activity, like what happens when you fire these nuclear weapons or bombs, you are going to have a problem with your land or Earth. And this guy's too damn stupid. And maybe he doesn't care because he thinks, who cares if 200 of my guys die or somewhat. But that's going to affect his whole country and all the neighboring areas.
It's the crazy arrogance of this dude.
He's just insane.
It's insane. Yeah, that's what I had. I was so glad that you saw it. I was like, yeah, this guy's nuts.
He's crazy.
He's nuts.
And you're right. It's going to cause the nuclear fallout from something like that is disastrous. Disastrous. I have a feeling the Russians are going to try to go kill him.
Well, now China is forced to, like, now you're messing up China's trade.
Of course.
Doing that. Like,
I'm shocked that they let this guy go on this long. Like, it isn't our job, America's job, to deal with this guy. Because I got to be honest with you.
Well, now it's not. We don't have to deal with it. I'm going to call it right now. That's really good for us that this happened.
My prediction was we were never going to get involved from the beginning. I think what happened was this little fidget thought he was like he wanted to, you know, play peacock, and, you know, he wanted to go after the biggest guy on the campus. So he went after America. But what's happening now is exactly like that. Russia, especially, and China, these guys got to get involved, because if this leaks like it's going to, they will have catastrophe on their hands. Not only people dying, which they will, but you will have their economies will be destroyed. And China's economy has been doing pretty good. Russia's economy is doing real well compared to what it was. So they will make sure they nip this little guy in the, you know, bud, and they're going to whack him probably. So they're going to send the Spetsnaz in, KGB. This guy's going to get whacked. I'm telling you.
And just set up some kind of government.
Yeah.
Watch over them. Keep some troops there.
Exactly.
I wish it was that easy, but, you know.
It won't be easy, but they'll figure it out, because it's when you start getting a guy, what's to say they clean it up and he doesn't do it next week and the same thing happens.
Exactly. This is like the beginning of his downfall is right now.
Exactly, because he's a I hate to say, he's a mental midget. He's not a bright guy. He's just a lunatic. He's a madman.
Yeah, not to foresee something like that.
Right.
Now
that's common sense.
Now you're in deep shit.
Right. It's common sense. What else you got? Anything else?
I have plenty of stuff. Go ahead.
I was going to switch gears a little bit here. And Sal mentioned Harvey Weinstein. I'm really not going to talk about him because God knows where he is. And you're right. He might have 23 Skidoo. We don't know where he is, or I haven't heard anything about him. But we just have a lot of stuff coming out against a lot of different people now. Stuff came out against this guy from, I think he was a CNN reporter, Halperin guy. Today, Kevin Spacey, or yesterday, Kevin Spacey was making he was in the process of performing in the play Rent here in New York City 30 years ago. And there was a young boy who was 14 that was in the play. His name was Anthony Rapp, and he came, I guess, out and said that when he was 14 years old, that Kevin Spacey got drunk and threw him on the bed and climbed on top of him and basically tried to force himself on him. Kevin Spacey comes out and, number one, says he may have done it, he may not have done it. He doesn't remember because that point of his life, he was drinking a lot and doing a lot of drugs. So I find that interesting that he had that excuse, all tucked into his pocket to come out with. Then I found it interesting that he proceeded to make sure he told everyone that he was gay. And I think, like, we didn't know this already. I mean, come on, the guy has gay written all over him. From, if you watch House of Cards to, if you see him in any movie, he sings,
it was pretty obvious.
He sings Broadway tunes.
Like, any sex scene he had with a man, it was like, no, that was
he was real comfortable.
Pretty natural.
Yeah, it was pretty natural.
I mean, there's nothing bad about it.
No, but
when you're a pedo.
Yeah, and exactly. And, he's singing Broadway tunes and acting like a freak on TV and acting, like a nut. But now the gays are mad, and I got to be honest with you, I can't blame them because he's actually kind of linking the pedophilia with being gay, which is really horrible. And I thought it was funny that, if you guys don't know Rose McGowan, she was an actress. She was at one point she was pretty popular. She was in a bunch of movies. She did that show with Alyssa Milano. She played the witch. I don't know the name of the show.
Oh yeah, I remember. That was on for a long time.
Yeah, it was on a long time. I think it was very big worldwide. Yeah, but it was funny because all she kept tweeting yesterday all day was hashtag Kevin Spacey gay predator, and she kept saying it over and over, which I found to be kind of comical. She kept saying gay predator, and so I have a feeling Rose McGowan was without a doubt abused severely.
I mean, they're trying to silence her.
Yeah, they're trying to silence her
with cocaine now.
Yep,
it's crazy.
Yeah, they're trying to do that, and it's funny because I think when it all comes down to it, because he made a little caveat to the story. He said that he's not sure if this happened a lot of times in addition to this. He said it could have, it could not have. He doesn't remember, but he's almost using the gay thing as a get out of jail free card. Like, let me switch the focus off my pedophilia and let everyone know that I'm coming out as a gay man, which is really shitty because he had zero sincerity towards the victim, who's a 14-year-old boy.
Did you see what Kevin Spacey's brother said about their father today?
No, what did he say? I didn't see this.
Kevin Spacey's brother said that their father was a Nazi child pedophilia.
Oh.
Yeah. That he loved Nazis and that he loved diddling kids. Isn't that insane? It all comes from, like, it's never like just somebody just starts doing it. It's always bestowed upon you. Like,
we're living in a society that's complete craziness. And Sal and I have been talking about the pedophilia. And we're going to go into a little more deeply one of these podcasts when it's a little more quieter on the DNC and legal.
I think we're going to be getting into it soon because I think it's all breaking now.
It's breaking. But I personally think that the ties between the DNC, politicians, rich businessmen, and Hollywood are intertwined. Because I got to tell you guys something. I found it really strange, unusually strange, how in 8 years, how deeply entrenched Barack Obama was with Hollywood. I just found it weird. At first I thought, wait, is this guy looking to be an actor when he gets out? I'm like, nah, because he's not that good. He's not that funny. And that wasn't it. And then I'm like, what is it? Why is this guy he's always around Hollywood people. He's always led fundraisers with these people. He's always has his arm, and Hillary too, always has their arm around these people, always promoting each other's causes, always giving money to California for the theater and movie business, arts, giving all these financial grants and stuff. And now I kind of know why. The tentacles of pedophilia and rape and abuse go so deeply entrenched into these organizations or these two huge conglomerates that it was the only explanation I could come to.
That and money.
Money, of
Because
course.
at the time they were raking it in.
Right.
Now they're not.
Of course, money. But yeah, but the pedophilia thing, I knew there had to be an ulterior motive besides money, because it just seemed weird. I mean, because it was more than just taking money. It was almost like, because if he wanted just to get money, he would make a phone call to one of his clowns that we know and say, hey, give me some money. But
it's going to a nation and
exactly. But say he wanted donations from Hollywood members. It's easy. Hey, hey, George Clooney. Hey, we got some trick or treaters here in Hollywood. But say Barack Obama from DNC, wants some money from George Clooney. Gets on the phone. Hey, George, President Obama, we need $100,000. But he didn't do that. And I guarantee you, if he had said that, George Clooney would have ran with a check to President Obama. Instead of doing that, which he could have easily done, he decided to go to George Clooney's home and have dinner.
What is that?
It's crazy, like dinner fundraisers of $100,000 a plate, or rent out a theater and then go visit him. And then it just was completely weird. And now I kind of know why. It was money and pedophilia. These guys are all intertwined. Like, it's disgusting.
Yeah, and then sorry if you guys are House of Cards fans, but that show got canceled today. Well, they suspended it. They even suspended filming for this season. Like,
it's done.
It's basically going to be done.
It's done.
Be over.
Because how can anybody look at that guy in like a light? I have a feeling. I hope that his career's over now, because it deserves to be.
It's going to be it's going to be what happened to what's his name? I can't think.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. Exactly what I was thinking of. He went away for such a while. Now he's coming back. He's in a movie now.
Well, think about this. Mel Gibson made he was drunk. And I'm not making, this is terrible.
Oh my God.
I'm not making an excuse.
Did you listen to those tapes though?
Yeah,
how funny were they?
They were funny.
How funny. It's like almost like you think he's acting.
Right.
He says he deserves to get blown before going into jacuzzi and stuff. Like,
yeah.
How ridiculous is that?
He sounded nuts.
He sounded like a crazy man.
Right. He was, but he is crazy. And I'm not making an excuse for Mel Gibson. But you cannot compare what Mel Gibson said to what these people did. And that's the big thing. That's the big thing when you're dealing with, and also it doesn't help him that he's a conservative.
Yeah, he's in movies now. He's in the movie theater again right now.
Right.
It's ridiculous. I should never be allowed to act ever again.
But here's what I always find funny is how the chasm in hypocrisy. You have a man like Mel Gibson who was drunk and he was wrong. And he turned around and said what he said. Anti-Semitic
and misogynist, all crazy.
But he said crazy stuff, and you could tell he was intoxicated.
Yeah,
and I'm not making excuses for him, but it's what he said. This guy was torched in the media. They talked about it for weeks. Every talk show, Mel Gibson this, Mel Gibson that. In some cases, deservedly so. Yeah. However, and here is where my ass gets burned, and this is why I get angry, I get pissed off, and I curse a lot, because whenever their people don't talk bad about somebody, don't say misogynist things, don't say racist things. When their people do misogynist things, when people do racist things, you don't hear anything. You hear nothing. I mean, Harvey Weinstein, in my eyes, got off pretty easy with the media. They didn't go on him as hard as they could have, because the amount of shit that came against Harvey Weinstein, he should have been in the news still today. Still. Because I know that, but he's not. There's all the stuff that came out against all these other people against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is not even barely mentioned. The stuff she's doing that Sal and I talked about is the worst thing, most treasonous activity perpetrated on America in our history, of at least our lifetime, that we know about. And you hear absolutely nothing or so little in any of the mainstream media, the papers, because they're all in the tank for her. It's disgusting. The media has become the biggest joke on the planet.
Well, I think this huge tide happened, this huge swing happened in just culture and what have you in the past year or two.
Yep.
I would say. And this is where liberal people would say to us that we jumped on the Trump train and we did all this stuff. And the real thing that happened is that Trump jumped on our train.
He did.
The freedom and justice train, the stand for your rights.
Excellent point.
The be a good person train.
Yep.
And then when that happened and we had a huge figurehead to rally behind, everyone was like, you know, being nice and being good is hard. And it's hard to speak up, and especially the people that are nice and good a lot of times are just inferior, like, you know, masculine wise or what have you. Just they're not the most confrontational people, I should say. So then you have this huge person to rally behind who doesn't give a fuck, ready to say it, ready to go to bat for you, and you just rally behind him and then people freak out.
Right.
Because
he ruffles a lot of feathers.
There's somebody that actually stands for something good and they can't stand it because they stand for all things bad.
Correct. And I have never, ever seen a country, or this is why I think we have such a problem, and we call, you know, a lot of times we mention liberal lunacy, because the facts are so evident of the incredible corruption. And here's the funny part, liberals, the corruption runs on the rhinos as well. And if you don't know who rhinos are, they're Republicans. So I and Sal and a lot of the deplorables are no fan of all Republicans like you guys are. You guys blindly follow any person in your party that has that big D next to their name. And you know why I can tell you you do? Because 49% of you out there voted for that criminal. She is a criminal. And I don't want to hear like this jerk off said to me today, Thomas Hughes, that she hasn't been indicted yet. Because that is the biggest crock of bullshit excuse. What? So you can commit crime. So I love this mantra they spew. She wasn't indicted yet. So here's my take. Guess what? How about a guy comes and kills your family and he leaves you alone when you're at work? You come home, they're all dead. But you know who did it because he left a note, or you have him on video, but he wasn't indicted yet. So yeah, he's okay. It's okay for him to do that. And that's what pisses me off about liberals is their double standard. Because listen, I don't care if Paul Manafort goes down. He used to be, I think he's actually a liberal.
I'm happy.
I am happy. And for that matter, I don't care if any Republican goes down that broke the law. If you break the law, regardless of political party, you should go to jail.
You want to hear something funny? This is totally changing and getting a little bit more lighthearted because we just went a little deep right there. Remember Bryan Cranston?
Yes.
Remember
Breaking Bad? Yeah, I read what he said today. Yep.
All that stupid crap he did say about a year ago about Trump. And remember, he had like a couple movies came out that just flopped. He probably had to pay the studio after it was done.
Yes.
So he came out today and was like, you know, wishing ill on Trump is like, you know, wishing ill on, you know,
America.
You're wishing ill on America. And then he made an analogy about it. It wasn't the airplane one, but I'll make the airplane one. You know, if you're on an airplane, you're wishing the pilot to crash.
Correct.
He didn't. It wasn't that one,
ago,
but that's the truth. That's what these people are doing. So he did that, and he got so much hate from liberal people.
Yeah.
So they were bashing him. People are nuts.
Well, it's funny when you hear a guy, because then you're wondering, is he really sincere? I don't know. I don't know Bryan Cranston. Or is he saying it because he's like, I got to get my career back because I can't make any money.
No, because he's not making money.
Correct.
He's like,
and he has a family.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect segue into what I was going to talk about. And I'm not going to go into it a lot, but I want to mention this because there's something I think some of us realize, but I don't think us deplorables realize the huge economic impact that we have as citizens in this country. And President Donald Trump has shown us the way to do it. And what I mean by that is everything that he has mentioned, and like we talked about in the past, he's been right on everything. He hasn't been wrong once. But everything that he has targeted to decimate financially in his path, and then basically, like Sal mentioned, he was the guy we rallied behind. He got us rallying, and then he passed the ball to us deplorables and just American citizens, even the people maybe middle of the road, maybe independents. You don't consider yourself a deplorable. God bless you. That's fine. But we've destroyed, in about 6 months, multi-billion-dollar, incredibly profitable organizations like the NFL.
Just to cut and keep your train of thought, today the ESPN is thinking about selling their rights to Monday Night Football because they can't afford it anymore. they paid $20 billion, $2 billion, whatever they paid for it.
Yep.
They have to sell because they're losing that much money.
No, I love, and you know, that makes me so happy. That's like the best news I heard all day because we've destroyed ESPN, who I hate. They are probably I hate them more than I hate CNBC and MSNBC and CNN because the sole fact is they are supposed to be an entertainment of sports network. Now they have decided to come out in the last 10 years and spew political garbage and social justice. So I'm glad they're dying. And besides what Sal said, now they want to. Now they're trying to not only sell Monday Night Football, they want to eliminate 10 Thursday night games. So now they only want to be on like one day a week.
And they're also going to lay off
tons of
50,
people,
60 more people. They said,
which makes me incredibly happy. But our buying power destroyed ESPN. Our buying power is decimating Hollywood. And Sal talked about this a few weeks ago. There was supposed to be, and he could talk about it as soon as I get done, there was a movie called Blade Runner with Harrison Ford. They said that was going to be the blockbuster of the fall, late summer, fall. Huge. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the budget on it was $154 million or something. Last week was only the third or fourth week it's been in theaters. It did $3.1 million. They pulled it. So they're going to lose probably $70 to $80 million on that movie. And that's happening all over Hollywood.
They pulled that movie. Think about that. This was supposed to be their blockbuster. They were banking on this movie. AMC, all those movie theaters, not to mention Hollywood.
Yep.
They were banking on this movie to make money. They were estimating about $300 million they were going to make off of it. They made
like 50, 60.
It's ridiculous in 3 weeks.
Yep.
So break that down. That's like 10, 15 million a weekend. That's nothing.
And that was in every theater across the.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, to think about the amount of money that they spent on it, the high name, big name actors that they put in it, it's over. They're basically done.
I mean, it's funny because I talk to people a lot on Facebook. I'm always communicating. Not only do I communicate on Facebook a lot with all you guys, and I love talking to all of you, I also talk in my personal life. Like if I'm out at my coffee shop, I know you guys laugh because I'm there quite a bit. But even if I'm just walking the streets or I'm somewhere and I start rapping with somebody, all I hear from 80% of the people is, we're not watching the NFL anymore. We're not going to movies anymore. We're not supporting Hollywood anymore. We turned off ESPN. You hear about these. We're not buying records anymore or CDs or whatever the fuck you buy today. We're not downloading their music. We're not going to their concerts. And it's funny because the talk today at people, some people came in and asked me this, so I just want to briefly mention it. I don't want to go too heavily into the NFL, but Sal mentioned it, so I just want to add a little addendum to it. I want to ask, when have big, tough football guys become such marshmallows? When have they become so soft, it's embarrassing? Because if you don't know what happened in Houston with the Texans, I think their owner, I forget his name, it may be Bob O'Brien or something. He's an older man. I like what he said. He basically said, he went into a conference in the NFL, and these men who spent a lot of money on their teams are losing hundreds of millions of dollars because of Roger Goodell. So, understandably so, these guys are pissed. It's like, think about this. Think about the NFL as your Wall Street investment. And this is what these are to these guys. They put their life savings, some of them, into it. And think about it could be worth billions of dollars in your investment. And every day, if it was selling at, the stock market's at 22 grand, this week, next week it's at 18. Then the next week it's at 15. Then the weekend after that it's at 12. These guys are watching the values of their team plummet. So they're pissed. And a lot of them are old American-loving guys, and they're seeing Goodell. And this guy said what he meant. I said this two podcasts ago when this first started. When we first started talking about it, I said the inmates are running the asylum. He said the prison, and I couldn't agree with him more. But what happened? All the Texans are saying we're not going to play this week, or we're going to take the logo off our helmets. We're not going to practice. And I just laugh because the players in the NFL are so ignorant. Because think about this, people. I know some of you come and say, "Oh, half of them would be in jail." And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think of there's 1,600 and some odd players in the NFL. I do think convicted, like a crazy number have been convicted. That are playing or have played in the last year or two. But with that being said,
It's brain damage.
they're not intelligent guys, because if you were intelligent, first off, they don't know why they're doing what they do. They don't know why. They're calling it social injustice, but how is it social injustice when you're averaging $1.9 million per player? So some higher, some lower, obviously, but averaging 1.9. So that's a pretty good living. And the American family averages 30. The head of household in American family averages $39,000 across the country. How is that social injustice? This has nothing to do with race. It has to do with ignorant players who never got college degrees, have no idea of what they're pissed off about, don't even know why they're doing what they're doing because someone told them to. And that's why Roger Goodell's such a shitty leader, deserves to lose his job, because his job was to stand up when this first happened and nip it in the bud. Instead, it's like having a forest fire that started off in a garbage can. And instead of putting it out and negating any problems, he came with a fucking gasoline can and threw it in there. And now it's spread across the whole forest, and your forest is inundated with flames, and it's going down. That's what he did. And so guys like Jerry Jones from the Cowboys are asking for him to be fired. And let me tell you, Roger Goodell is making $42 million a year. That is insanity. So that guy had a golden goose, and he was too cowardly to stand up to the players because he's a liberal pussy. That's what he is. But that's all I want to say about the NFL. But what you said is making, because I don't know, I didn't watch any games. I haven't watched in 2+ years. But the one thing I can tell you, because I saw some videos of it, is that the stadiums were empty comparably to past years.
All those games that are on TV, it just looks horrible.
Yeah.
There's so many empty seats. Yeah,
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You can go.
No, I don't got much I want to talk about. What you guys see it.
It's interesting, people. My wife turned me on to this book called All Out War. And it was written by a former, I think, New York Times reporter who wasn't a liberal, believe it or not. And he wasn't a conservative. He was kind of a middle-of-the-road guy. So his name was Edward Klein. And he's been doing this investigating probably since the beginning of Trump's campaign when it started. So I guess that was probably around 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And he wrote this book called All Out War. And basically what it describes is in detail the incredible lengths that Barack Obama, Susan Rice, and Valerie Jarrett went to take down President Trump with the Russian dossier, which we all know about, the Fusion GPS, all the money they funneled through there. And even to today, these three individuals, specifically Jared and Obama, Rice, I don't know if you guys know this, Rice was living near or in Barack Obama's house. And she is not a professor. She's basically a chancellor at American University. She was anyway. She may have left there, but as of, because the person who owns the coffee shop that I go to, his daughter goes to American, and when she got accepted there for a master's program, Susan Rice spoke to her. So she was kind of a bigwig there. And that's American's a very liberal college in D.C. But it's a great book. I looked at some, and I didn't read it from cover to cover, but I did look up some of the excerpts. And how a former president could be so involved in trying to destroy a current president is nothing but treasonous. It's a crime. And like Sal mentioned, I pray that all these ducks are lined up and that they're foolproof and these pieces of shit go to jail, because I'm looking for these assholes to be carted off in orange jumpsuits in shackles and taken away and to be never heard from again, because they're what's wrong with our country along with the media.
I feel like they're going to flee.
They might flee.
I feel like they're going to flee.
Listen, I would have no problem with them fleeing, because then know what I would do? If I was President Trump, I would hire my little untouchables, my Elliot Ness group of special operators, find them. And listen, if you guys don't know, do me a favor. If you guys don't know how this works, there's a gentleman that I wouldn't say friendly, I became an acquaintance with. I had dinner with him, and he did the movie The Lone Survivor. Watch one of his videos, and he describes what his job is. And he says, matter of fact, after he retired, and he was the lone survivor, and his best friends were killed. It was 4 guys versus 200 fighters in Afghanistan. But after he retired, a woman once asked him what his job was. And this is what he said. He said, ma'am, think about if every night for the last 40 years, you know, you married your husband at 21, and the last 40 years you go to bed with your husband and he sleeps next to you. On this night, your husband is in bed, curled up next to you. He goes, I'm in your yard for 1 week, observing every move you make, he makes. I'm taking notes, times, events, everything. He goes, and then one day, after 40 years of seeing him every day, you wake up this morning and he's gone. And he goes, I'm the guy that captured him, took him away. And he goes, so how easy would it be if these people fled to have that special group of operators go and find these people and make them disappear, which I would love. Yeah. That's what they deserve.
It's going to happen probably. So it's going to be crazy. I want to end with, did you see the new Project Veritas video today?
Tell me about it, because
this guy, James O'Keefe, and Project Veritas is waging war on the New York Times.
They are waging war.
And he has been insulted and kind of demeaned by this, the senior executive of the New York Times, Dean Beckett.
Yep.
And he says all the time that, you know, you can't listen to Project Veritas, blah, blah, blah. So he met up with Beckett today on the streets before he went into work.
Did he run away?
He didn't run away, but he wouldn't answer any of his questions. And the guy was just grilling him. All the stuff. He's like, so you brought that, you said that I sinned? He's like, why are you bringing religion into this?
Right.
And he just started grilling. Yeah, he's kind of saying dumb stuff, but funny stuff at the same time. But then going into him, he's like, so what about this so-and-so senior executive in England? What about her? What is she not so high up on your rankings? Does she not have control of everything? And then he's like, what about you? He's like, are you calling this fake? And he started going into other stuff. Guy wouldn't answer anything. Just walked off. And then I just love it. I love how that's That's right there in your face journalism. Showing you.
Here's the thing. How anybody, and I've had this argument on Facebook with people, liberals obviously, how can anyone say a Project Veritas video is fake news?
Yes, it's impossible.
It's infiltrating a group. And listen, this isn't their...
Hitting it head on.
Exactly. And this isn't their first soiree into investigative reporting. They were the originators back in the day with Acorn. They busted Acorn for... Well, and guess what would happen? They were defunded by Congress because of Project Veritas, because Acorn was stealing money, getting fraudulent voting records for Barack Obama, which is a felon, but he got away with that one as well. But they've been doing this for years now, probably 10 years, 9 years. And everything they do is undercover, incredible investigative reporting. And it can't be argued. It can't be questioned, because it's the people in the organization saying it on film what they were doing illegally.
I love it because he ended it with, he's like, I know why he didn't answer me, guys. He's like, he knows what else I have on him.
Exactly.
And so it's beautiful. It's beautiful because you know he's going to drop some other kind of bomb. He's just trying to get them to admit before he exposes.
Yeah, and
he's trying to even that's how nice he is.
Yeah.
No. He's trying to give them a chance, resign, save face, get on out of here.
Right.
They won't. That's how stubborn these people are.
He's had, I mean, if you guys aren't familiar with James O'Keefe and his Project Veritas, sound I've been talking about it for years. I've been talking about it for a long time because he's from Rutgers. He's from my alma mater. But he got many members of the DNC fired. 3, right off the top of my head, who planned on violent activities at these rallies when Trump was first elected. He got them fired. Now, he's got a lot of people, which is great, because, and then some just ignore because the media doesn't pick up any. Here's another thing. If the media, I know why the media doesn't pick up any Project Veritas stuff. You know why? Because they're embarrassed. Because they can't do, well, not that they can't, they won't do their jobs.
They won't.
They won't do their jobs. And if every, and I'm not saying you have to go to the extreme of James O'Keefe. However, if every news organization in this country told the truth half the time, we wouldn't have any, probably this podcast wouldn't exist. We wouldn't need to be here.
Thinking, like, if everything that I thought about that the other day. It's when you said that. I was like, if everything kind of happened halfway, we wouldn't even have to do this anymore.
Nope.
Like,
no, because even if they did 50%, if they ever told the 100% truth, I know which obviously would be idealistic and never happen. But let's say back in the day, the days of Walter Cronkite, when journalism was a very honorable profession, when you had people there who took pride in what they do, they told the truth. The Woodward and Bernsteins of our generation. If they even did that, say, which would say, let's just throw out a number, 80%, there would be no need for Sal and I. We wouldn't even be here. Matter of fact, podcasts wouldn't even exist.
Exactly.
Because if you had the
political
truth,
ones,
no political ones, yeah, maybe entertainment ones, obviously, but nowadays, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that from what I've seen and what Sal and I've seen and talk about, I'm talking now. Let's eliminate, because when you have a douchebag like Shepard Smith on Fox, he's just another liberal asshole. But when you let's go into the major newspapers and major media networks and the two major or three major, CNN, NBC, and CNBC. I would say those organizations tell about, when it comes to conservatives or giving knowledge on TV about what happens against liberals or DNC members, I would say less than 10% is told. Less than, probably 5 to 8%. Yeah. And when it's told at midnight, or when they tell a lie, they retract it at a time when nobody's watching. And nobody's watching anyway. I think Sal mentioned about 5 or 6 podcasts ago that at the height of their hour, CNN gets less than 1 million viewers.
That was months ago.
And who knows what they're doing now? I haven't checked up on it.
Not good.
But that's just something that's going on. So that's another problem that we have in our country. A huge problem.
I had one more thing I was going to talk. No, I want to kind of monitor it for the next couple of weeks before I talk about it.
Okay. The last thing I think we're going to close out now, and we appreciate everybody for listening. And listen, last week I just want to give a shout to all you guys. We just got a lot of great comments. Yeah. We love awesome. Sal and I love you guys are awesome. Yeah. You guys I love when my wife does the roll call. I love seeing where you guys are from. All over the country, all over the world. So we thank you. We find that amazing. But I want to just close out really briefly, because this is kind of sad, is that what happened in the streets of New York today. That's why I'm wearing my New York, Yankees jerseys. Prayers and blessings to the people who were injured, for those who were killed in this terrorist attack. You have our deepest condolences and sympathies to the families. A horrible tragedy. This person, by all accounts from different people, yelled Allah Akbar before he did it. And so I always find it incredibly mind-numbing.
He was from Uzbekistan. He was like a radicalized Muslim.
Right. And I always find it incredibly, 2 things about something like this. I always find it incredibly mind-numbing when you have liberals that still want to bring these refugees here and don't want to build the wall. It just keeps happening. And I guess I don't understand the logic. I never will understand the logic. I don't think any of you do either, because the rationale of their thought process is so warped.
Who commits most of these crimes? These type of people. But you know why they can't? Because they just can't. They group everybody, and then they're like, no, not. You can't single out a group. They're all part of this other group.
Right.
It's like they can't single out a group for being bad. They won't do it.
Right. And it's so evident, because I'm not saying every attack is a Muslim, but every Muslim.
That's the majority of them.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I did my research. I think I saw it in that the last 10,000 terrorist attacks simultaneously have been like 99.5% Muslim. 99.5. It's ridiculous. But the other thing that makes me go nuts is, doesn't this just throw a monkey wrench, no pun intended, into the liberal narrative of guns? Today you had a mass killing with a vehicle.
Now you ban. Now Home Depot has to ban selling trucks, I guess, right? Budget can't do rent-a-cars and shit like that. What happens now?
This is what, and we talked about this before, and I'm not going to go rehash it again because it's getting late in the show, but we have given ad infinitum the FBI statistics on guns and how, I mean, just this week alone, I saw 3 instances where 2 men in a store and a woman were going to get robbed, and all 3 were armed. One was in Missouri, one was in Florida, and I think one was in Texas. All 3 basically stopped the perpetrator in their tracks, and 2 of them were ex-military guys, and one was a former cop or something. All 3 stopped the person dead in their tracks, and they left, ran away, and were arrested, because that throws the gun narrative right into the shitter. It just blows away their theory. It gives them, because if they didn't have, if those 3 people were not armed, they would either have been dead, robbed, or shot.
That's the thing. There's way more stabbings than there is gunshots.
Of course.
But what are you going to do? You're going to bend knives? How are you going to cut your steak? Like, what can you do?
That's too. But this is just make their it just makes their narrative go thrown it right down the toilet, because it makes no sense. Because listen, whether you like guns or hate guns, this is a fact, people. If somebody, God forbid, walks into your place of business, walks into the store you're attending, or walks into your home, like a home invasion, if you were armed, you would have, I'm not saying you're going to survive. I'm not going to say this. Well, you have a great shot. And I'm going to tell you a quick little story. It backs up my gun story to a T. About 10 years ago, I think, maybe 12, I was working in my industry, which I'm currently working in. We had a program. It was a convention in the city from Connecticut. And everyone probably remembers this story. He was a wealthy man. He had a wife and 2 daughters. It was all over People magazine, Time. He had a home invasion.
I remember that.
And the man, and I remember, because I physically had the convention with him 1 week before this happened. So obviously, and somehow, it's going to sound crazy, but self-defense and guns came up, and he was heavily against guns. And long story short is, there was a home invasion. He was beat up. I think he might have been shot or hit over the head with a crowbar or a pipe or something. When he woke up, his 2 daughters, and I think one daughter was, I think, 15. His other daughter was 11 or 12. And his wife were getting raped. And after they got done being raped, the criminals, these barbarians, set them on fire and burned them to death. And fast forward, he had to live through this. It was a horrible, he was all over. He was a broken man, obviously. They asked him, "What is your biggest regret, doctor, that happened to you besides losing your family?" You know what his answer was? That I didn't have guns to defend myself. And that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. So that throws their gun narrative in a tragedy. That tells you everything. A guy who was anti-gun, anti-firearm said, "I wish I had some guns to defend my family. I was foolish, and I was looking at this the wrong way."
Just think about how we, as like conservative people, you acknowledge that not all Muslim people are bad, right? Not all of them could be animals. Like
absolutely,
it's impossible. So why can't a liberal person be like, not all gun owners are bad people? Like,
well, they can't.
What is that?
They can't.
What kind of that's the insanity, mental disease we speak of, because they can't correlate that there are people like, if everyone who had a gun, there would be 300 million murders.
Exactly. Well,
like, what do they think?
After Vegas or what happened in Orlando or any?
But how do other people not see that that policy that they're trying to like even spray out is just so dumb?
Exactly, so ignorant. But they said that the NRA had blood on their hands and are responsible for these murders. But here's the funny part: in the history of all these shootings, not one NRA member has ever shot anyone. Not one. So how could, in the mental liberal lunacy that Sal and I harp on every week, how could that thought process be? How could you blame a group of people for murders when they've never murdered anyone? And that just goes to show you why liberals are despised, because they're fools. Yeah. They are useful idiots like Saul Alinsky and Karl Marx, like you are, Thomas Hughes. I'm picking on you today because you're an asshole, because this is exactly how dumb and ignorant you are. And the best thing you can come up with me is, I bet you I don't even have my GED.
No, they pick up any dumb narrative that is spoken well by someone who they think is good, and then they just spray it out like it's fact.
Yeah, and
sick of it.
I'm so tired of it, and that's it. Just they're being exposed on a daily basis, not weekly, daily. Their lunacy, not just the congressmen and senators of the Democratic Liberal Party, the media, Hollywood, entertainment, TV, football. These are all groups of individuals that are exposed for their mental disorder. Like Sal says, it's a mental disorder. It's a disease.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way to describe it. When you have someone like today, Sal pointed out so eloquently, when you have someone that you point out facts like this is this, and this, and they say, "Oh no, it's not. Oh, that's not true." How can you have a civilized debate with a person like this? And then when you expose them, like we just mentioned, All they do is name call. They call you the racist. They call you the homophobe. They call you the
That's not what Wolf Blitzer said.
Right. They call you the xenophobe. They call you dumb. They call you ignorant. It was funny because this guy Thomas Shoes, know what he said to me? He told me that I was so dumb that he needed to. I need to go back and he could teach me how to use proper English and grammar. And he spelled grammar Grammer, and he used instead of using "you're a dumbass," he goes "you dumb ass," and the way he spelled. And then instead of then THAN, he said THEN. Like instead of
that's why it's got to be a robot,
right? Well, that just goes to show you how friggin' stupid this guy wants to teach me grammar. He couldn't even spell the word correctly. Meanwhile, I told him, I said, this is my favorite. I intellectually raped him. I said, Thomas, you brought a butter knife to an intellectual gunfight. You were so humiliated. You did what you did best. You quit. You quit and you blocked me. That's the best thing you can do because your ass kicking was enough. You've had enough because you're tired of losing. You liberals are just so tired of losing. You lose to us, guys like us, every day, intellectually. You lose in Washington every day. Donald Trump beat your golden girl. He spanked her. He spanked that skank Hillary Clinton. And you guys are still, your ass is still on fire about it because you lost. You're losing in Congress. You're losing in Senate. You're losing in every ruling that you guys aren't corrupt with. You are just always losing. And I'm going to give you another prediction. And Sal's predictions are 100%. In 2020, you're losing again. You will lose again. And if the media, who are losing, can do their job one iota and just show the great economic, because here's what sucks. And I'm going to tell you guys what sucks, and I'm going to let Sal close it out. President Trump is doing so many good things that we don't even spend enough time talking about it because we're so pissed with all this craziness going on. So what I pray and what I hope for is coming up into this holiday season, the Thanksgiving and Christmas season, is that we can get some type of semblance of normalcy in our government where we could put this shit to bed and we can start talking about the stock market. Listen, people, I don't know if you looked at your 401k. I looked at mine yesterday. My 401k is up 28 to 9%. That's unheard of in 3 months because of President Trump and what he's doing. That's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. People aren't talking about his accomplishments because they're all tiny accomplishments. But what that is to me is like, we just had the streets paved over here.
Yep.
Before you pave the street, you got to grade it up. You got to clean it up, get it ready to be paved. That's what he's doing. He's cleaning everything up, and now once it gets paved, that's when you see.
That's a great analogy.
That's when you see everything trickle down now.
Yep, and you see the progress. Yeah. And the economy. I mean, I love this. He had the economy growing quicker in the first 6 months of the president. I think it was three plus points. You would have thought that what he did. Obama did that. No, Obama did not do that. Obama never had a budget. He's never above 1%.
Never had 3%
in 8 years, ever. So please stop with this nonsense. You guys need. I'm gonna say it once more time, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but all you liberals, do me a favor. Reach around your ever-expanding waists. Grab your head out of your ass. Pull it up so where you can see it. Wipe the shit out of your eyes and clean up your brain because your ideology is killing you. It's making us Americans laugh at you, despise you, and you continue to expose yourself for the morons you are. And believe me when I tell you, it happens every single day.
Without a doubt. Great, Andy. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Keep your head on a swivel tonight. It's Halloween.
Yeah.
Bad people, bad things are going to happen.
We're going to close out with some Rob Zombie, perfect Halloween music. So my boy Sal, Gary Gould. I'm saying Gould, like Gary Gabagool out. President Trump, the guest is out. And everyone have a great night.
Dempsey
Red Podcast 30. And Dempsey, our big boy says goodbye. Have a great